Good morning, everyone. Davening with Parshat Ki Tetzei on this Erev Shabbos, dedicated to the memory of Lucy Maya and Rina D. Zichronam Livracha. In Parshat Ki Tetzei, amongst its many mitzvot, we find a category of mitzvot that's known in halachic language as a mitzvah kiyumit. Namely, it's not a mitzvah like tefillin, shaking lulav, where you have to get up and do it whether you like it or not. But rather, if it happens to happen, then this is the protocol you have to follow. And I'll give you two examples from the Parsha. Number one, the famous mitzvah of Shiluach HaKein. If you happen to stumble upon a nest with eggs and you want to use the eggs, not stam do the mitzvah, but use the eggs, you have to send away the mother first. Again, that's only if you stumble upon it and if you happen to want the eggs for breakfast. Mitzvah number two, divorce. No one woke up in the morning and said, there's one mitzvah I always was dying to do. Yeah, what's that? Divorce. I never divorced my wife. You have to pile on mitzvot before Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. I'd like to fulfill this mitzvah. Once again, if a marriage doesn't work out and it happens to be that the couple wants to separate and stop the marriage, then there's a protocol you follow. What do these mitzvot teach us to davening? There's a famous Gemara that says, "Ulevai sheyitpalel kol hayom kulo." It would be wonderful if someone davened the whole day. What does that Gemara essentially mean? It obviously doesn't mean you're supposed to daven the whole day because you'll never work for a living, you'll never eat, you'll never do anything else. Rather, it means that there's two kinds of davening. There's the 3 times a day in a minyan, the formal davening we've been speaking about so many times. But there's another kind of davening, and that is talking to God throughout the day. Every time a Jew says, thank God, he's acknowledging that God did something that he has to thank God for. Every time a Jew says, Be'ezrat Hashem, with God's help, I'll get through this, it's a form of tefillah. I would even venture a guess and say that you're not going to be able to truly have a davening experience in shul with a minyan unless you have that relationship all the time. Namely, unless you throw those little comments of thank God, with God's help, etc. throughout the day, then what kind of davening are you going to have? It's like a couple that's married on paper, doesn't speak to each other, doesn't live together, and then once a year on the anniversary they come together. What are they going to speak about? They have nothing in common. You're not going to open up to each other, seeing each other once a year. Rather, there's 2 kinds of davening. They're standing before God all the time, and they're standing before God formally in davening. That's probably why the Rama paskins at his first halacha in Shulchan Aruch, Shiviti Hashem lenegdi Tamid, may God be before me all the time. So indeed, these mitzvot that are not mitzvot we have to wake up and do, but rather only if they happen to happen we follow them, teaches us there is the happen to happen talking to God throughout the day. There is the improbable maybe, or probable situations where we speak to God freely, and Be'ezrat Hashem, if we speak to Him freely throughout the day, our davening will be enhanced all the more so. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom.